A particularly exciting Breeders' Cup turf this year, as Enable will look to become the first ARC winner, and she's a dual ARC winner, to win the Breeders' Cup turf. Pretty amazing. It's never happened. We've had some narrow defeats in the past. The best way to play the Breeders' Cup turf, Breeders' Cup races, races at Aqueduct, races anywhere, is to play through NYRA-Bets. Bet 200, get 250, a special new member bonus available through Saturday. Promo code is BC250. And once again, a 10% winner's bonus linking doubles on all Breeders' Cup races throughout Friday and Saturday. $10 minimum, all available at NYRA-Bets. Here is the field for the Breeders' Cup turf. 13 are lining up in here, but they're all looking at Enable. The superstar will look to become an international superstar as she ventures over to America for the first time. And while this was not the strongest ARC of all time, and I think we have to talk about the 4 Waldgeist as well, who finished a somewhat troubled trip fourth in there, kind of buried in traffic. Enable wins this race after a sustained layoff, a couple of setbacks, 1 prep over synthetic, and she's still able to win the ARC. Now, one could argue that the fast-closing second-place finisher, Sea of Class, if she hadn't had some trouble, she would have beaten Enable. But you don't want to take anything away from Enable. She was sensational as a 3-year-old, and considering it was just her second start, it's pretty amazing that she won the ARC. Now, unlike a lot of other ARC winners that come to the Breeders' Cup as a sort of afterthought after the ARC was the pinnacle of their season, Enable was just making her second start, so she may not fall in that category. But still, she's got some rivals, and I think Waldgeist is a very strong rival, because we saw last year, and we'll talk about Talismanic later, Andre Fabre does not ship over here for the prestige of the Breeders' Cup unless he believes he has a serious chance. And Waldgeist had been terrific leading up to the Breeders' Cup, leading up to the ARC, excuse me, and looked to be a horse on the improve, and as Timeform said, could have a sensational 5-year-old season. But I think he comes over here off a troubled trip, and I think he is the main rival to Enable, and I'm going to pick him to make the upset. I will not discount the American horses, though, and I think the 3rd and 4th likeliest winners in this race are Channelmaker and Robert Bruce. Now, Channelmaker got the best of Robert Bruce, fortunately for me, in the Joe Hurst Turf Classic. Robert Bruce, watch him as he starts to bear out in the stretch right here under left-handed whipping. The ground is going to break beneath his feet right about here, and you're going to see it happening a little bit. And I just think he struggled on that deeper going when we took the rails down, and it was much, much firmer on the inside part of the course, and that enabled Channelmaker to have an easy win over Robert Bruce. I'm a fan of Channelmaker, and I'm not saying Robert Bruce has to beat him, but I think Robert Bruce is better than he looks, and I don't think it was that he didn't handle the softer going. I just think he didn't handle the softer part of the track that he was on, as opposed to Channelmaker being on the inside. And I think both of these horses have a chance, but particularly Robert Bruce. And fortunately, unlike most Chad Brown runners, Robert Bruce is going to be a very, very square price in here, and rightfully so, because he's got a very serious rival in Enable. Now, Channelmaker was not able to beat the former claimer, Glorious Empire, up in Saratoga. They dead heated in the Bowling Green, but in a fast-paced race on a very firm course in late August, Glorious Empire upset the field at 15-1, and he had a sensational Saratoga for trainer Chuck Lawrence with wins in both the Bowling Green and Sword Dancer, and even with Channelmaker winning the Joe Hurst Turf Classic, he was flattered going forward. The problem is he's a very, very forwardly placed horse, and I'm not sure it's going to work out necessarily that way, because I have a feeling that the 13 Hunting Horn is going to be somewhat aggressively ridden in this race. And I also think you'll see some others like High Happy be more aggressive, and I don't know that Glorious Empire's going to have the run. Now, he handled a soft course in the Bowling Green at Saratoga, and he's a wild card, but I want to see it to believe it. But he is a really interesting rags to riches fairy tale story for an excellent trainer in Chuck Lawrence. Let's talk about last year's winner, Talismanic. Now, Talismanic owes me nothing. I liked him last year, and one of the reasons I liked him last year is he was a horse that was pointed towards the Breeders' Cup. And he beat a very good horse in Beach Patrol, and a very, very good horse as well that finished 3rd in there, and that was Highland Rio, who beat him in a subsequent start when he went over the Far East in the Hong Kong Vase. The thing is, Talismanic is not as good right now as he was last year. And while Andre Fabre's bringing him over, I almost wonder if he just made the trip with Waldgeist, and I don't want this year's Talismanic. He did, however, draw inside so he can get a ground-saving trip. I'm not sure, though, that's an advantage at Churchill Downs. They get a lot of rain. What about the Philly Magical? for trainer Aidan O'Brien. She comes off a win on rain-softened ground when she upset the favorite Lottie Dar in the British Champions Fillies and Mares just a couple of weeks ago. The thing about her is, first of all, she handles softer turf, and the other key to her is distance. This is a horse that improved when she got the 1.5 miles. Even her arc, when she finished 10th, beaten just 5 lengths, was an improvement off some of her efforts, but her best effort was on soft turf in her last race. But can she bounce back in just 2 weeks and come over here? Well, Aidan O'Brien ran a very heavily raced Found to victory at Keeneland a few years ago, so do not discount Magical in this race. She is far from impossible. But the big dog for everybody is Enable. I picked Waldgeist as an upsetter over Enable, and I'll use behind her Robert Bruce and a little channel maker. But Enable is the star, not only of the Breeders' Cup Turf, but she is one of the stars of Breeders' Cup Weekend, a weekend you see many stars. Now, this race, part of a double. And as you may recall, 10% winner's bonus on all doubles linking Breeders' Cup races throughout Breeders' Cup Weekend if you're playing through NYRA-Bets. And why not play through NYRA-Bets? A special bonus. If you're not a member of NYRA-Bets, become a member of NYRA-Bets. A Breeders' Cup new member bonus. Bet $200, get $250 through Saturday, November 3rd. The promo code is BC250, the Breeders' Cup Turf. It is going to be one of the highlights of a sensational Breeders' Cup Weekend.